Sometimes it's not possible to be close with a sibling. Sometimes it's not just a phase, and you won't grow out of it. Today on rLounge, we learn that sometimes your sibling is just a witch, and it's not just you that can't stand them. Sometimes there's a mutual, undisclosed hating. Join us for part 1 of a 2-part series. The complete saga of my narcissist sister, part 1. This is a very long post, due to various updates added with the original post. I, 31 female, have 2 sisters, one older, 34 female, narcissistic sister, and one younger sister, 28 female, little sister. For as long as I can remember, narcissistic sister made it clear she hated me. She would always snap at me, tell me to go away if I ever approached her, and would bully me a lot. It wasn't until I was in nursery that my parents realized that there was something not 100% right with me. After taking me to some therapists, turns out I was minor Asperger's, though the actual diagnosis didn't come through till I was 13, but my parents still did everything they can to ensure I was getting all the help I needed. Basically, I would struggle to concentrate, was very stubborn when I didn't want to do something, would throw tantrums now, and was more sensitive when it came to emotions. I wasn't a bad kid. My mother would always say I was a monkey. Now that I think about it, maybe it was because narcissistic sister couldn't understand why I was acting less normal that she didn't like me. But then again, it doesn't excuse all the crap she's put me through for 30 long years. Then little sister came along, which really only made my situation worse. Narcissistic sister and little sister became very close, but excluded me purposely from the things they did. They would always whisper horrible things behind my back, go out together without me, make nasty comments and jabs towards me like saying I'm not part of the family or favorite child. Little sister basically became narcissistic sister's little follower, but really because it was likely she was scared of narcissistic sister, since narcissistic sister knew how to be intimidating. She just had this way of making her presence known. Like that theme song, whenever Darth Vader would enter the room, you'd feel the atmosphere change. She would often walk by my bedroom door and leave scratches on it, pretend she was talking on the phone to her friends while making horrible comments about me in the same room, blame me for anything that went wrong for her. One of the things I remember was when she and Mum had a big argument, and when she walked past my bedroom door, she shouted, "Retarded daughter," despite having nothing to do with it. Oh yeah, and she blamed me for the death of our pet dog. Basically, my parents got this dog from a puppy mill years prior, and unfortunately the dog had health issues, which is common for its breed type, so had to be put down. So really I had no idea why she would blame me for harming a dog. Things got worse as we entered our teenage hoods. Narcissistic sister's attitude was awful, always angry, snappy, and aggressive. Despite being a teen myself, I could never find a way to stand up to her because, already due to the trauma I had to endure, I was honestly scared to confront her. She was like a grenade ready to explode. Even sitting at the dinner table for a family meal was really hard since whenever I would try to speak up during a conversation, right away narcissistic sister would roll her eyes and make a horrible face. So I began avoiding family meals in general by hiding upstairs in my room and only wait for the family meal to end before I would come down and grab myself a plate. One time, I tried to go up the stairs, but she purposely blocked the way. So I tried to shove past her, only for her to kick me in the stomach. She even blamed me for getting her phone wet because she stupidly left it by the sink. At this point, I began to realize what kind of person she really was. She could never find a fault with herself, always blaming someone else for her problems or mistakes. I will say, I never felt happier once she moved out, as things at home felt more peaceful, and I no longer felt her threatening presence nearby. Of course, she would come and visit now and then, but now had this entitled attitude where she felt was above everyone. She would never clear up after herself, despite living in the same house for years, would act like everyone should cater to her just because she was a guest. The tension between us did calm down a little, but we were still nowhere near friends. Then she was engaged, so I decided maybe it was time to leave the past behind and attempt to recoil with her on some level. I tried acting nice and interested in the wedding. Oh yeah, never invited me to her hen, but was more than happy to invite little sister. To be fair, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it, but still, I kind of wish she'd made the effort to do something with me and little sister. So the night before her wedding, narcissistic sister was crying for some reason, no idea why. Trying to be the better person, I comforted her. Then came the next day. Things went smoothly, getting ready for the wedding, had our pictures taken. Then it was time to head into the cars where the wedding would take place. Whilst narcissistic sister, mom, and little sister all went into the main wedding car, I instead had to go into the car where all the in-laws were. I know this could have been a simple, there wasn't enough room in the car excuse, but still at the same time, I honestly felt hurt with the idea that all 3 of them are together, once again being excluded. I felt like I wanted to cry during the car journey, that all the effort I put into trying to build somewhat of a relationship with narcissistic sister was just thrown away like that. I don't know how I did it, but I managed to put on a smile and acted like I had a great time. As soon as it was over, I broke down. I spent 2 weeks in bed crying my eyes out, questioning my existence, imagining what would be if I decided to end things. It was really a dark moment for me. I stopped talking to her after that for a while. Anyway, she has 2 kids who I absolutely adore. Because I still live at home with my parents, they asked me to help watch them. I did lots of fun things with them and would post videos of us having a great time while their parents were working. I could see on the video that narcissistic sister was in fact watching them, but would never bother to say anything about it, not even a thank you. So I realized that there was no point putting the effort in and just stopped doing it. At one point, she and Dad got into an argument simply because he was hugging the kids a little tightly. Basically, narcissistic sister would always yell or snap at us for doing anything wrong. She even started yelling simply because there was a hair on the toilet. Since narcissistic sister and her husband would work at the same time, once a week my father would pick up the kids and bring them to our house to spend the day with us. By this point, my father had had enough of her rudeness and refused to speak to her. There was a standoff between my father and narcissistic sister for a while, before finally my father decided, for the sake of the family, to put an end to the feud and give in. So basically, narcissistic sister won the battle. Then came the Mother's Day incident. I decided to make a lovely afternoon tea for Mom, so spend the last month preparing it all. I actually went through our photo box to find all the photos I could of Mom with her daughters. I sent them to a website that will print the photos and send them through the post. I set up the table beautifully and spread the photos out across the table. I made sure there were bagels, cakes, and all kinds of food on the table. What I didn't realize that during the setup, things between Dad and narcissistic sister were tense. Since narcissistic sister wanted Dad to help her get another house due to the concern for the rising price of a mortgage, whilst Dad, who worked as a landlord for years, felt her ideas were really not in her best interest. Anyway, I invited everyone over for the tea to make Mom happy. I felt so proud of myself seeing how happy she was. But as soon as narcissistic sister entered the scene, it all crashed. Basically, Dad mentioned his concern to narcissistic sister about her decision, which sent her into a crying rage to the point Mom had to comfort her crying mess of a daughter. She ended up leaving with her kids, and thus the whole atmosphere was ruined. Mom was crying, as was I, after seeing how all my hard work to make Mom happy was completely ruined. Never got an apology from narcissistic sister. Anyway, I began getting into painting and made some beautiful portraits for the house. I made one for little sister as an engagement present, basically a mannequin wearing one of Alexander McQueen's dresses, but in a different color scheme. Soon enough, narcissistic sister asked me to make something for her kids for Christmas. So I got to work making a pair of beautiful ballerina paintings on canvases. On the day I went to show the girls what I made for them, not one word from narcissistic sister. I still have the paintings here since I need to finish covering them with varnish. But narcissistic sister has made zero effort to ask of the paintings nor made any comments on them when posting them up on my Instagram. I don't wish to ask her since I'm afraid she'll ask me to make another, which I really don't want to since it will cost me money and I'm currently trying to save up for New York. This has left me feeling like my motivation for doing any art has gone out of the window. I haven't painted much since and just feel broken inside. Recently, I received my certificates for my qualification, and while her husband had left a comment congratulating me, not a word from narcissistic sister. At this point, I've had enough and decided, screw it. She doesn't want to make any effort, then I won't bother with her. She's expecting her 3rd child, but honestly, I don't want anything to do with narcissistic sister or her family. Since she and little sister are so close, then maybe it's time for little sister to take a step and help out more. The same girl who would run away whenever a dirty nappy would be changed. Whilst I help out a lot because I happen to work in a career with caring for small children. Basically, narcissistic sister has just used me and everyone in her family because of her self-indulgent entitlement. It is because of her that I have spent some time going in and out of counseling due to on and off depression, feeling like I constantly have to build myself up to reach a certain level of standards because of how she looks down at me. But in reality, Mom, Dad, and little sister can't stand her. They hate who she is as a person, just want her to go on with her life, but put up with her for the sake of her kids, which I feel she's always dangling to get her own way. I honestly don't know why I kept trying to cling on to this hope of both of us recoiling. It's like a mental illness, always hoping one day she will turn around and apologize and try to be a better sister. I know it sounds stupid, and now that I think about it, I had been foolish following a false hope for a long time. I've mostly done things for the sake of my parents since both are hardworking and are the kind of people who don't want to get into long, ongoing conflicts. Often the case, they will get into an argument, have a standoff that lasts for a while before giving in. It really frustrates me when it happens. I do love narcissistic sister's kids, by the way, but I'm getting worried my hatred and frustration towards their mother will end up affecting our relationship. I've already blocked her from my social media. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do when the new baby comes. Mom and Dad will probably drag me into looking after the baby for their sake, but I don't want to do anything that's related to narcissistic sister. I want her completely out of my life for good. As for little sister and I, we're in a much better relationship now. Turns out narcissistic sister and little sister have had their share of arguments, but as Mom says, little sister tends to feel intimidated by narcissistic sister, yet little sister has told me herself not to do anything for narcissistic sister, yet still hangs around with her. I find this weird. Anyway, thanks for reading this long story. You are a champ if you've made it to the end. I'm still having difficulty being motivated into doing more painting. Comment. Guys, thank you so much for all of your comments. I'm honestly having a blast reading them, and they really are encouraging me to be a stronger person. I may give some updates later on if anything interesting happens. Oh, and if anyone wants to use this story for a Reddit video, do it. Thanks, everyone. More context. Hey, everyone. Thanks for posting your comments in the comment sections. Sorry I can't respond to everyone, though I do try. Seeing all these comments by strangers trying to be supportive towards and bashing my sister is honestly making me feel better about myself. Anyway, I have noticed a variety of comments asking some questions, mostly about why my parents didn't do anything. Well, I'll try to bring in more context. My parents were never negligent towards any of us. It's true I needed some extra support as a kid, but I was never more spoiled or took all the attention away from my sisters. We often did things together on family outings, and were all invited to each other's birthdays. We were all treated the same, had the same amount of prezzies, were given a car each, and for our 13th birthday, all got to choose either a bar mitzvah or holiday. Each of us also got to spend time individually with our parents as well. It was only when we were teenagers, things changed a bit due to our independence. Narcissistic sister and little sister would spend more time together going out, whilst I was never invited. Thing is, I don't think I would have enjoyed it regardless. Turns out I got a lot of different interests compared to theirs. For example, they love things to do with celebrities, fashion, clubs, all the typical teenager girl stuff. I myself was a tomboy. I used to dress up in clothes covered in skulls, loved cartoons, and hardly shopped. Still, I would feel left out, having to watch people treat their siblings better. Anyway, Mom and I are close. Not because she's favoring me or neglecting her other kids. It's just because personality-wise, we have more common interests and don't go out of our way to make life hard. I do love my mother very much. She is kind, works hard, and wants the best for all of us. Since she's the one that really put all her hard effort into getting me all the help I needed, as well as putting up with my tantrums, I feel I owe her my love and respect. Of course, she told me I don't owe her anything, but deep down, I feel I do. I think she saw I was being left out and so began taking me out herself, like going to the theater or museum. She enjoys it like I do. For some reason, this had narcissistic sister and little sister turn against me further, even bringing up nasty jabs like, "You don't spend any time with us," comments. Guys, this is total BS. Mom has spent time with them, and also when I brought this up, Mom has stated that they either never have time for her or ask her to hang out with them. At this point, both narcissistic sister and little sister were in fact busy, running around working or going to college, so on. I think it was just another excuse for narcissistic sister to find something to pick on me with. Unfortunately, I'm out of time as I need to go to work, but I will add more info later. There is a lot more I need to write. And I'm back. Here's more context. Why did my parents do nothing about it? As I have mentioned a few times, I think they went with the whole "you hate each other now, but one day you'll grow out of it" kind of thing. I think that's why I put up with it for so long, because of that false hope that maybe we will grow out of it. Stupid, I know. Often the case, if narcissistic sister did something to hurt or upset me, she would confront her, which resulted in yelling match and narcissistic sister storming off. I honestly don't think she was ever punished or lost privileges because of this. But remember, whenever I would admit that to narcissistic sister was being mean to me, I used to feel so afraid of how she'll react after that. I learned that the situation may be better if I just endure it or try to ignore it instead. The more I think about it, the more angry I feel towards my parents. Dad wasn't really involved much with the parenting. Typical going to work all the time father. He would take us out sometimes, but mostly he worked. Nowadays, things just go in full circle. There is a big blowout, followed by a standoff. Then they ultimately crack and things become normal again. It's happened several times, and honestly, I'm so sick of it. I guess they're the kind of people that don't want to lose any of their kids or grandchildren, would rather keep things neutral. Try to be the better people. They do know narcissistic sister has a crap personality, but simply put up with it for the sake of their grandchildren. The situation with little sister and narcissistic sister. Narcissistic sister is a bully and can come across as intimidating towards anyone she dislikes. She can act all nice and pleasant when she has to, or to those she gets on with. But towards me and little sister, she always has this horrible presence. Again, as if Darth Vader was entering the room. Little sister is dopey to say the least, And I think due to being the youngest in the family, she looked up to narcissistic sister more as someone who knows everything, can be a big impression on her. So yeah, she pretty much followed narcissistic sister around and even did stupid things because narcissistic sister told her to. She also became bossy towards me as well, since she was quite bratty to say the least. But as she's grown up, she seems to have matured and realized her actions. Apparently, over the past few years, she and narcissistic sister have gotten into some big arguments, while we have gotten closer. Part of me feels she's starting to realize that maybe narcissistic sister is not such a person to be around, while I am much easier and better company. Or maybe she wants a relationship with both of us separately. The thing is, every time narcissistic sister is around, little sister goes on acting like she and narcissistic sister are close, leaving me out once again. Is it a habit? No idea. But on the plus side, little sister and I are actually getting along quite nicely. I never helped her out with her work at some point, and we spent the day shopping. Just wish it could have been this way before. But I'm glad she's making the effort to build something with me. Can't say the same for narcissistic sister. Personally, I don't want to cause little sister to stop being around narcissistic sister, since I understand they do have their common interests and all, but still hate it when they exclude me out of conversations and stuff. Honestly, it's her life. Can't tell her what to do. Why can't you just move out and contact? Believe me, I do want that. The thing is, I don't really have a plan or currently enough income to get my own place. I only have 2 friends, and they are still living at home with their parents like me. I have brought this whole thing up with my parents multiple times. They keep coming up with excuses. 1. Your sister wants to move to a bigger house and needs help with the mortgage. 2. Let us get through this plan first. 3. We don't want you to live in a crappy apartment. 4. We're trying to help Mike right now. Mike is basically a family member who met a woman from a third world country and moved there years ago to live with her and her teen adult kids. Turns out, adult kids were beating and abusing him for his money, so had to escape back to his home country and is currently living in it while my parents and some other relatives try to help him out. He's also on the spectrum. I have nothing against Mike. In fact, he and I actually get along very well, and I do feel sorry for this situation. But still, it kind of hurts my parents are paying more attention onto someone who's been away for years, only to suddenly show up out of the blue. So yeah, just excuse after excuse. Also, I've had to watch how my sisters would constantly demand for things, causing my parents lots of stress and arguments, so asking them for something just makes me feel bad because I don't want to add to the stress. I do wonder if I should just be patient, but also the fact that this could go on for years since my sisters keep doing things to make mom and dad add to them. I do actually do a lot for my parents. I pay for some of the shopping, clean up after myself, make some beautiful house art for them, help with the grandkids, get them things they need, keep the house safe while they go on holiday, help my dad with any computer issues, cook dinners for them now and then, so on. I just don't want to end up doing something I may later end up regretting, which is really my biggest fear. I've heard stories of people taking big actions which resulted in big problems later in life. Thanks, Reddit. And so don't want to end up falling under the same category. Honestly, OP, you don't owe her anything. You've tried. You've done all you can do, and you've honestly done far more than a lot of people can say. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. She's completely entitled, and she's stuck so far up her own butt. Just because she's blood doesn't mean you have to hang out with her. Or love her, in fact. She hasn't done anything to suggest that she deserves anything from you your entire life. Your own family can't even stand her. It takes a certain kind of person to push people away like that. I'm surprised her own husband can stand her. I'm also shocked your mother didn't say anything about the car situation at her wedding. I'm shocked she didn't advocate for you. Maybe out of fear of retaliation? Maybe she didn't want to ruin her day? Sounds like your parents have unknowingly enabled her behavior all of these years and created a monster. Update 1. Hey guys, I just want to thank all of you who have been super supportive towards me. I'm not going to lie. Seeing all the comments people have made about my entitled sister really did make me grin a little. Anyway, I've been thinking about seeing a counselor again because of the nightmares I've been suffering with lately. Yeah, I know it sounds silly, and for a while I've tried ignoring them, but after what happened last night, I feel I really need help with this. The nightmares I have are often ones where I'm having an argument or snapping back at my entitled sister whenever she does something rude towards me. Even though I fight back in my dream, it still makes me feel crappy. Last night was really bad. Basically, entitled sister and little sister ganged up on me and humiliated me by throwing food at me in public. All while people were just watching me, doing nothing. I kept asking them to stop, but they kept going. I know it's just a stupid dream, but dreams can feel real sometimes, and this one really got to me. I don't even want to sleep anymore. I think it's all related to the stress I've been feeling lately, of whether I should send my entitled sister a letter telling her to leave me alone for good, that I'm basically done with her BS. That would only cause more drama since she'll bring it up to my parents, and the fear that she'll show her friends the letter and act like a victim. So nah, I don't think a letter would be a good idea. Knowing her, she'd most likely use it as a victim card. It's better to just not give her any ammunition. I'm also not sure what's going to happen when the new baby comes. I don't want to be there after entitled sister has had the baby, but I also feel guilty if I were to not give the same attention to the baby the same way I've given to my nieces. I know I have to stay strong, but really this is slowly eating me inside. I also don't know how to handle my parents. It drives me insane having to hear them bring up things about my nieces like they expect me to just join in and act all, "Aw, lovey." Don't get me wrong, I love my nieces, but hate their mother. So yeah, it's really causing me to struggle a lot inside. As for Mother's Day, I think little sister and I are going to do something. Basically, I was going to take mom out for an afternoon thing in town, but little sister calls and tells me she can make the tea party at her house and invite everyone, which includes entitled sister. So I said I wouldn't be coming, making it clear I want nothing to do with entitled sister, especially after what she did last time. Last time she ruined Mother's Day tea with her tantrum and never apologized for it. So little sister, mom, and I agree to go out somewhere nice in the following week instead, since dad is struggling to come up with a way to take his own mother out. So ridiculous, I know. I roll. So far, entitled sister is unaware of these posts and honestly might be better off that way since she loves to paint herself as the victim. But yeah, I really think I need to talk to someone about how to move forward and deal with these nightmares. Maybe I'll try to find someone who can help me control my dreams a bit better, if that sort of thing really works. If anyone does have any advice, please feel free to comment. Once again, thanks for all your support, and if anyone wants to use my last story for a video, go for it. I totally think you should talk to someone, OP. I think it would be good for you. You've obviously suffered some trauma throughout your life at the hands of narcissistic sister, and things are coming to the surface. You don't have to see your kids if you don't want to. You're a grown woman, and you shouldn't feel guilty for distancing yourself from her or her family. You're doing what's right for you. Update 2. May have gotten through to my parents. Hey guys, hope everyone has had a lovely week and looking forward to the weekend. Gotta say, the weather has been beautiful so far. It's really making me want to go down to the seaside. I live in the UK, by the way. Anyway, let's get to the news. I've been stressing over the week about the thought of what will happen with the new baby coming and how upset I've been feeling about my parents pushing me into the back of things before others, like having nightmares, eating so badly, and having anxiety. In the end, I texted my mother while at work and basically made it clear to her and dad about my intentions of not getting involved with a narcissistic sister from now on. At first she responded with the same, "Little sister deals with it, why can't you? This is just a repeated record. How do you think this makes me feel? Blah blah blah." Not literally the text, but just the idea of the conversation. I got so furious that I responded telling her that I shouldn't have to deal with this. How narcissistic sister has treated me and everyone like crap, been rude to even my friends who have never said a bad thing about her, and that if they want to deal with narcissistic sister's problems, it's on them, and that maybe it's time for little sister to pick up the slack. I also made the threat to leave the family on my own for good. When I got home, Mom wasn't there, so I went upstairs, had a bath, then hid in my room. I didn't even have dinner. I just munched on a large packet of crisps, potato chips for those from the US. Eventually, I got a knock on my door and Mom came in. I don't have a lock. She basically explained that she and Dad have been discussing about my moving out at some point, that maybe just start out at a small one-bedroom flat and see how I'd cope there for 6 months. Then, see where we go from there. It's not going to happen overnight, but at least there is some possible progress. Also, Mom said she won't pressure me anymore to help out with narcissistic sister or her baby. So yeah, looks like I may have gotten through to them at last, but it is early days, so we'll see what happens. I have been struggling to regain my motivation with my art, but I'm determined to start soon. I just need to figure out the pricing, then I should be good to go. Thanks for all your support out there. I may keep updating along with some other things since this to me is like a journal I can share with everyone. Hope you're all enjoying the weather. What an excellent step forward. Only good things to come. Up from here, OP. Update 3. How Mother's Day went. Hey guys. Hope everyone has had a lovely weekend and most importantly, had a lovely Mother's Day. It was Mother's Day here in the UK yesterday for those who don't know. Anyway, if anyone hasn't read my previous post, basically narcissistic sister ruined my last year's Mother's Day by throwing a big tantrum and storming out, leaving Mom feeling very upset and ruining what I had been planning for 2 weeks to set up. Never apologized. So this time around, I decided that I will not bother making a family tea, but rather just take Mom out for the day. Little sister ended up joining us, so all three of us went into town where it's a very nice area, has lots of shops and restaurants. Admittedly, we made the mistake of not booking a restaurant since we didn't realize just how booked up most of the restaurants were. After some looking around, we managed to find a table in an Italian restaurant. While Mom and sister had a pizza, I had the prawn linguine since I seem to have a love for fish with pasta. It was really nice. We did some shopping afterwards, and I ended up buying a beautiful ring and bracelet for just £20 as part of the Mother's Day discount. The woman who worked there was so lovely that I ended up showing her my Instagram with all my coloring art and paintings. She loved them and asked me for my contact info, since she's currently working on her kitchen and may want me to make a painting for her. I took her contact card. When we arrived back home in the afternoon, Narcissistic Sister was there with her husband and my nieces. I immediately ignored her and said hi to my nieces before going into another room away from Narcissistic Sister and her husband. My nieces and I just watched TV together while everyone else was just in the other room talking, which I honestly didn't mind just as long as Narcissistic Sister didn't start any issues. Eventually they left, and so that was that. Mother's Day turned out great this time around. The only thing is, I'm concerned about how one of my nieces has been acting lately. Apparently she's been acting extremely bossy towards Mom, and anything we've given her, she either wants the one youngest niece has, or says she doesn't want it. They are things appropriate for both ages. At one point, I got fed up and told her maybe I just won't buy you things anymore and that you should appreciate what you're given. Basically, both my nieces were either given the exact same stuff or oldest niece was given first choice in the beginning. But now that they're getting a bit older, I feel that cycle needs to break. Plus, I feel it would be unfair for youngest niece to always get second choice. I do give them the same thing, but just different designs or looks, and give them both the items at the same time. If they want to swap, they can, but if not, well, they'll just have to deal with it, I guess. But now I'm wondering if maybe I should just give them things when we're out together to allow both of them to choose rather than surprise them. Or maybe just go back to giving them the exact same thing? I don't know. If anyone has kids or nieces or nephews who's gone through this experience, please comment your advice on the situation. Anyway, hope you have all had a lovely weekend, and if anything else comes up, I will keep updating if anything happens. Take care. It's great to hear that Mother's Day went well this year. It's always refreshing when a family get-together goes well and drama-free. In terms of your nieces, let them choose. I feel like this is a great way for helping children express their individuality. With some boundaries, of course, such as a price limit, etc. But it teaches them responsibility in a way. I think that's brilliant. You're a fabulous aunt and an even better person, OP. Wishing you all the best. What do you make of this? Do you have a similar story with your siblings? How have you handled it? Thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content, share that with us in the comments below. Stay tuned for part 2.